What is going on, SMITE fans? Today, we are joined with the Tartarus Titans jungler. Layers is here, and we have for us a little bit of it. I'm not going to say an assassin tier list. It's a jungle tier list. We're going to have a lot of different picks that are available in the jungle, obviously. So Layers is going to walk us through what he thinks is best and competitively viable in rank. Specifically, this is not a competitive tier list. This is for rank. So Layers, what's up, man?
I'm doing good, man. How are you?
Great.
I'm ready for this. This is going to be fun.
Let's jump into this. So already we're starting off with Arachne. What are your thoughts about the spider?
I think Arachne is solid in ranked. There's a lot of different starts you can do on her. Like you could like web a back camp, like put 2 webs on backs and like 1 web on speed. All you need is 1 minion to hit the 2 with like the traditional start that we're doing now. That gives you like an early 2, and you're able to like kind of flex wherever you want to go. You can run solo and do a cheese gank, run duo, do a cheese gank.
Yeah, you never really know where Arachne's
you never really know where she's going to start. She can definitely cheese. I would probably put her in the A tier for ranked.
Oh, a solid A tier. All right. Yeah. So if you can get ahead with that early buff pressure, not letting them know where you're ganking early, she can be pretty solid.
She can do it with multiple different starters too. She can do like Mannequin's Eye and Bumba's. She's actually really good with Bumba's Hammer late game because she can just spam her webs in her heel. So
yeah, it's a fair point. All right. What about a Wheelix? Sort of a niche counter pick, but also a little bit early aggression. What are your thoughts about her?
I think a Wheelix is pretty solid as well. She's very early game dependent, I'd say. She does fall off a little bit late game. May just do kind of own her late. I say she's an early mid game, but she's really good at doing that early mid stuff.
Right.
She's really good at pushing her lead. I would put her in A as well.
A as well. All right. So again, early pressure, you can really get on top of these mages early, but late game sort of falls off.
Late game, yeah, you kind of get owned a little bit. Yeah.
All right. What about Bastet? We've seen her a bit in the solo lane, but also a pretty prevalent jungler as well. What are your thoughts?
I'd say Bastet is very, very strong. She just recently got nerfed. So
yeah, she did have to get out back a little bit.
Yeah, maybe she'll fall out a little bit, but before that, I'd say she had a really low ceiling besides her ult. Her ult's like the only thing that really requires much out of her.
Pretty easy character, right?
Yeah. I would probably put her S right now.
I think you're right. Yeah,
until
we have the data to prove that she's not S.
She's very good at ranked.
Yeah, and I think these next 2 are going to be pretty similar. Kamazotz as well, pretty highly contested in the solo lane, but also a strong jungler. Talk to me about the bat.
Kamazotz is also very strong. In his own way, he does a lot of damage, and he's really, really safe. Especially with the Kamazotz buff, ult buff.
Yep. You
just have like a get-out-of-jail-free card, basically now. But before the buff, you would get killed in animation.
Yeah, you could get like Kraken before you get into the air.
Before you get in the air, kind of like the Freya. He had like the Freya syndrome a little bit.
Exactly.
But both Freya and him are a lot better, so I put Kam on S as well with that.
Okay, yep, I think so. And I'm just going to talk about this one is get the Kleena. She's, once again, very highly contested in the solo lane, but also, people are playing her in the jungle. She brings a lot to the table. How good do you think she is right now in the jungle?
I think that she's just as good as she is in solo, but just as good in jungle as well. She's really good in both.
Right.
They just do different things. Like solo is more bruiser and like annoying, but Kleena jungle is like one shot everything.
Yeah.
I'd put Kleena up in S as well.
Yeah. So even full power, not with that like.
Yeah. She just one shots. She does so much damage, and she's just really safe, I'd say.
Yeah, it seems that way. All right. What about Daji? Daji's been getting banned a pretty bit as well. So what are you thinking about this?
I don't think Daji's as strong as the other 3, but I would put her in A. I think she's got good CC. She's kind of got that, like the get out of jail.
The pal out.
I'll get up in the air. You can also sit up there for a while. You're banished, so you don't really take damage. And you can just wait for your cooldowns to come up. I think she's a really, really strong jungler.
So I have another question for you, just real quick about Daji. Usually people pick her into like Ho-Yi, Thoth, these characters that don't have CC immunity. Is she strong even without that, even without it as a counter pick? Did you pick her into anything?
I just think the only thing that she like lacks is like buff secure.
Right.
But people aren't really invading now. Like when there was an invade meta, like she was like the worst secure in the game.
When Hercules would just run at your speed.
Yes, because all of her clear has ticks.
Yeah.
She has like no burst besides like maybe her 1 if you put points into it. But her 2 is like she's like the worst like securing jungler in the game, I'd say. But right now, since there's no invades, I'd say she's an A tier jungler.
All right, so you think there's better picks, but into those counter matchups specifically, pretty strong. All right, what about Humbots? He gets talked about a lot, more of an ult bot. That's really the only utility you get, but when his ult's on point, it's pretty solid. What are your thoughts for the monkey?
I think Humbots is pretty good. He's got heavy CC. He's really good at like getting like actives out, kind of like a Thor, kind of like a Sorket, where you get like actives, and then when their actives are down, he combos a lot with like really good he combos really well with like Ares and stuff.
Yeah, like beads burners.
Beads burners, yeah. I'd put him in A.
Okay.
I think his clear is pretty good, and I think he does pretty well.
All right. What about Mercury? We haven't seen too much of this in the SPL. He sort of takes a little bit to get online. Maybe you don't want to double stack crit with your ADC, that sort of thing. What do you think? What are your thoughts about Merc?
I think Merc in ranked is actually really good.
I agree.
Unless you get like a Gabon against you or like a Kepri, then you kind of hate your life. But with crit, he's pretty solid. He clears really well. His fight is really good early game. He does well throughout the whole game. He only gets better as the game goes on. I'd say I don't know if he's as good as the other three, but I put him A.
Okay. So a lower tier, an A-, if you will.
An A-, yeah.
Yeah, the sonic boom from behind tier 2 is going to catch most people off guard. So, yeah, you can definitely get ahead with this character. Naja, though, I don't see this played too much.
Yeah.
I see you're wincing a little bit. Is that because very high? I'm not going to say high skill ceiling because honestly, if you just know how to beads the ult, you pretty much are able to shut down Naja. So talk me through it.
I think Naja lacks a lot in ranked. I think he's a way better competitive jungler than he is a ranked jungler because you pick that pick to rely on your teammates and set up for your teammates.
Follow-up, right.
But sometimes in ranked, you won't get that same level of play from your teammates, so he's not as good. I'd probably put him like B tier.
Yeah, you hit a sick ult, you're hoping to sick ult at the bottom,
and then like nobody's around you, and you're like, oh, and then you're like in the middle of 4 enemy players, you're just getting sick killed.
If you can find the follow-up, this pick can get pretty successful.
He goes higher, yeah.
I got you. Nemesis, though, we saw a lot of Nemesis sort of been teetering out a little bit. Talk me through this one.
I think Nem is very good in jungle for ranked. I think is good the whole game. She has a good early fight with I. She only gets better because she's a scaling god.
Right.
Her late game is insane. The shield's really good. I'd put her S with the other 4.
Yeah, I'd say the Hydra's Lament buff helped her out a ton.
I think she's really low execution too. Like a lot of good characters in Smite or in general are like the ones that do a good amount of damage and are really low execution. And those 4 up top are like low execution.
All right. Sure. We got Ratatoskr here now. I'm going to be honest with you. I can't tell you the last time I've seen Rat, even jungle or solo. So what happened to Rat? I
think Rat he's like a better Thor, I'd say. His ult does more, like the 100 more damage, level 1. He's got a knock up instead of a stun. I think he's pretty good jungle.
Right.
A lot of picks, sometimes picks will just fall out for no reason, but they'll still be like a sleeper pick. I think Rat's that. I think Rat's an A tier jungler.
Yeah, what I like about Rat is you don't have to expend your escape to do the brunt of your damage. You can either max the 3 or the 2, but you don't have to dash in unless you're going for that dash A form. Whereas Thor really has to hit that double tap to get
Thor,
the
you kind of have to play perfect.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so our first non-assassin in the list, if I'm not mistaken here, we have Ao Kuang. Yeah, so talk to me through Ao Kuang.
Ao Kuang has always been just a rank stomper.
Right.
I don't know if I'm going to put him in S with the other 4. I think he'd be an A tier, like Merc. He's on hyper carry.
Right.
But it depends on who's playing him too. Like if you have someone that's like really, really good at the character playing him, he could be like an S tier character.
Right.
But for like an average rank player, I'd say he's an A tier jungler.
Yeah, not the greatest early pressure, but just late game hard.
Yeah, just late carry. He's just a hyper carry. Yeah.
You can camp solo lane if they don't have beads, get some executes. I gotcha. All right, what about Achilles? Now, this would usually be a solo laner. We've seen him jungled a fair bit in the league as well. Talk to me about this one.
I think Achilles is one of my personal favorite picks.
Yeah, I see you picking others a lot.
I think he brings a lot. He's a really good counter pick god.
Right.
I definitely think he's better than a Naja in ranked.
Yeah,
he gets a good amount of damage if you do him hybrid with like a lot of carries don't expect it, but with Hydras, like you'll nuke for like 500, and like they don't really expect it. Like, how do you Aegis like an auto that? I mean, I guess you can Aegis it, but you don't expect an auto to hit you for like 600.
Yeah, the Hydra's autos are definitely
like a full damage Achilles with Hydras is busted. So I would put him like in A for ranked.
Yeah, high pressure. You could take the armor off, or to go a little more.
Late game, you can switch up with like protector, and then you just have like 200 prots, but you have 400 power on top of that. So
and the execute never falls off, obviously. So I like that one as well. Another execute character. This time Thanos, pretty hit or miss for me.
He's hit or miss, but I think the thing depends on the player.
Right.
For Thana, if you're like really sick and you're hitting everything, he is an A tier jungler.
Right.
But if you're like a noob on him and you're missing everything, he could be kind of a B tier.
Yeah, if you're hitting every scythe.
If you're hitting everything, he's a sick. He's like an A tier for sure. But it might be safe to.
I'm going to say the brunt of people. Oh, you're going to go A?
I'm going to go A. If this was me, I'd put him A.
Okay, it is you. This is your tier list. This is Layers telling you the characters for rank. This is not Trelli trying to influence you. My issue is I've seen this Thanatos. I haven't seen too many of these Thanatos, but they do exist. And if you're playing him to his character's potential, definitely going to be an A tier. Completely understand.
Yeah.
Talk to me about Tsukuyomi, though, because he was a little bit flavor of the month, pretty highly contested, and haven't seen too much of him recently.
He's a good pick, but the thing is he gets collapsed on really easily. He dies really easily. He's got really no like way to escape, and his ult can kind of be a bait late game. If you like ult into a team and then like the backline Aegises, and then you're like in the middle of 4 people and you just insta die.
Right.
I think if you're patient on him and you're like smart with him, he's an A tier.
Okay.
I would put him A.
He's got some solid long range poke, but sort of like Kibo. When you use your ult, you are the ult. So I
think a disclaimer too for this tier list is that like jungle is a really strong role in ranked.
Right.
And if you're a solid jungler, you can win with any of these picks.
Yeah. Okay. So that's fair to say. All right, what about Thor? Thor falling out of the meta pretty hard, but a lot of people that are really solid mechanically on Thor are still putting some value towards him. What are you thinking?
If you're me, I'm putting him A.
Okay.
Actually, no, I'm putting him B.
Okay.
I I love him to death, but his early game is the only thing that's good about him.
Right.
Late game, mid to late game, his damage hard falls off. His scaling is really low. Like the scaling on his one's 30%, which is very, very low for an assassin. He chunks like mid game, like level 7, level 8, when you have like 4 points in your tap and you're like half health on a mage. But later on in the game, he definitely falls off.
Yeah, you have to hit everything, as you were saying.
He has to be perfect too.
He feels so fun to play, and
he's just
mechanically he's rewarding.
Yeah,
but again, late game, as you said, you're sort of just putting yourself out of position. If they have relics, you're going to die. Yeah, I think B tier is a pretty solid stay. Now, we added Shiva here just sort of for fun, because he hasn't been in rank too much, maybe a couple days with him. But I'm assuming you have a little bit of thoughts about where he could be as a jungler, so talk me through it.
I've played him a couple times in ranked, and he actually seems pretty good. He kind of reminds me of our Erlang, because he just has 2 insta CCs. That just
early game, very aggressive.
I think he's an A tier jungler.
Okay.
I definitely think he's better than Neja and Thor. He's just a new god too. Like new gods are traditionally stronger.
Yeah.
He might get balanced later on in the future. Like they might like see he's too strong or overperforming and they'll change him. But right now I think he's pretty solid.
Yeah, I played him in solo, and I think you need a little bit of movement speed to really get the value out of his ult. In jungle, you sort of just get that with your buff and everything. You can itemize into it. So that's interesting that you said A.
Yeah.
I'd like to see maybe if he gets played in the SPL. We'll have to see.
He might. We'll see.
All right, what about Set though? Arguably at one point the best god in the game.
The best
No longer
with
revered
hammer.
as that.
Yeah.
What are you thinking?
I definitely think he's better than Thor and Neja, so I'll have him in A. He is a hyper carry. He farms very well. He's one of the fastest farmers in jungle, just because you can always 2-3 over walls.
Very long range, right?
Yeah, very long range, and you're like farming very fast. His one's on like a 6 or 7 cooldown. It's really, really short. He just farms well. The only thing he lacks is CC, and he kind of gets countered by Shell a little bit. Not as countered as he used to be, because Shell used to provide block stacks, but now it's not as bad. Set is definitely playable, and he's definitely good in ranked.
I like how he's got pretty solid shred, but then he also has like crazy burst if you can hit everything right, which is like, do I want Aegis or do I want, it's pretty interesting.
Yeah, so. I don't really go Blink on him. I usually go Beats Aegis, because he can just get into a fight really easily. You don't really need Blink on him, I'd say.
Full damage Set jungle is going to be able to blow up people, right?
Yeah, no, you can instant kill people, yeah.
Okay, what about Pele, though? This is another one of those characters that I see every once in a while, not so much highly contested, though. What are your thoughts?
I think Pele... Well, I think Thor and Neja are just
this is fair.
B tier.
Right.
Pele is better than both of them. Pele does good damage. She does get kind of countered later on when people itemize, or they'll get like anti-heal. They'll get
the healing.
It definitely hurts her. Her early game is very strong. You can kind of just like run into people with your passive proc, because they're not going to have anti-heal that early on. But like mid game, I think she falls off. Mid to late, she falls off. I think early mid is where she like kind of shines a little bit, but later on she definitely falls.
So you're still thinking
I still think A though. I don't think she's as bad as Thor and Neja.
Is it possible that they should be here and then maybe a few here?
I'd maybe put Neja under Thor and C. I just don't think Neja's good at all.
No, I understand. Yeah, if you can beads Windfire Wheels, you pretty much lose all your value.
You're like, so I guess he can hyper carry, but it really depends on the state of the game and like how your game's going. Like if you're like really far ahead, then you're owning. But then like at the same time, like if you're ahead on any of these other characters, you're owning.
Yeah,
like,
I mean any jungle from ahead is.
I just think even in behind, he's just not good at all.
I gotcha. Okay. Erlang here, he's received nothing but bans in the SPL.
Erlang is tippity top S tier.
Yeah, definitely very strong.
Erlang has insta CC. He's good with any starter. Actually, no, but he's not really that good with dagger. But he's good with eye. He's good with mannequins. He just is good all game.
Yeah, I mean very
strong
early pressure.
Really strong setup. He just has really good CC. He does really good damage.
Yeah, at level 2 you can get beats 2 different ways and still get kills.
He's at the best level 2 in the game.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely. And then right there with him, though, Gilgamesh, also pretty highly contested in the league. Well, what are you thinking about Gil?
Gilg is S tier as well.
Yeah, I would say these two
is not. I would say that Gilg is not as strong as the other characters early, but as soon as you get like that mid-late game spike, you get your build online, your hybrid, you get like Bumba's Hammer. He's like the best guy in the game with Bumba's Hammer.
Yeah, he's really fun to use late game.
Yeah, he is very strong when he gets his items.
All right, now this is the one and only Guardian in the list that I see. We did decide not to put Athena in here. We haven't seen too much for her, but
there's too many junglers.
Kabrakan, we have seen a fair bit of jungle. What are your thoughts about Cobb?
I think Cobb is A tier.
Okay.
Cobb has good pressure. He's got good clear. He does good damage. He's relatively tanky because of his passive, and he's just got natural Guardian stats.
Yeah.
I just think he's pretty strong.
Are you more a fan of the full glass cannon, or do you like a bit of a more hybrid
I think he's probably stronger hybrid.
Okay.
Full glass cannon, he kind of just gets owned late game, I think. You own, but you get owned at the same time.
You can one shot, but you also get one shot.
You can one shot, but you get one shot. I guess that's just like the glass cannon.
That is what glass cannon means. Just in case you didn't understand.
Yeah, just in case you didn't understand. But yeah, I think he's better with a couple tank items.
Okay, yeah, a little hybrid Cobb, never hurt anybody. I understand. All right. What about Susanoo, though? pretty decent damage if you know how to play him.
Yes, he's very good. I don't think he's as good as the other gods in S tier. I'd keep him in A.
Okay.
I think he does good damage. He's got really good in and out. He's just like I feel like a traditional assassin kind of with how you want to play. Like you play off to the side and you look for flanks. And that's just
and try to go in after the fact. You know, get some big ults.
You look to clean up. That's just Asano play style. And that's kind of just a rank play style for a lot of junglers, just to clean up.
All right, what about Osiris, though? Another one of these tanky warriors, have solid early game, but also can build a bit auto attack base and shred.
Osiris is A tier.
Okay.
He is really good. I think he's like second to Erlang in pressure early game. If you go like a Mannequin's Osiris and you kind of just run it up.
Yep.
He does really good damage. He kind of falls off a little bit late game, like damage-wise, but like early mid he does swing and he does have pressure, so he's pretty good. He's got really good objective shred, just like Erlang too. Yeah. Erlang and Osiris can go to they can go like stone cutting and stuff, and like Mannequins is pretty good objective
I'm a big
shred.
fan of like a crusher into an auto attack build. You get a little bit of both.
Like a crusher berserker.
Yeah,
build.
exactly.
It's pretty good.
All right, Loki here. Now, Loki used to be very annoying to deal with in ranked. I honestly haven't seen him.
He still is.
I haven't seen him every game, but he's still around. What are you thinking?
I think he's A tier as well. I just think jungle's like wide open in ranked. If you're good at jungle, you can play any of these picks and be successful. Even on Neja and Thor, like you just have to play a little bit like to a higher level, I guess. Like it's definitely higher execution. All these guys that are in A are like pretty solid. I'd say Loki's very good. Loki's kind of like the typical annoying pick where you can just go invis and like one shot. He's like one of the junglers, like if you want to kill someone, you're going to kill someone, for sure. Like that's kind of just what Loki is. Late game is really good with hammer, or bum is hammer. And he's good with eye too. Yeah,
late game you can just trade out your life.
Late game you just one shot.
You can even one shot and ult out, which is the annoying part when you don't even have to use your
You can set up, you can, he's got a bunch of different ways to play. You can set up, you can use the ult as an escape, and the one can be like tricky as well.
Yep.
And this is just tricky in general. So.
All right, well, I'm definitely feeling the Loki with A, but here's another interesting pick that I wouldn't even consider like a viable jungle myself, but we saw Captain Twig whip it out in the SPL. So what are your thoughts about Bakasura?
I think Baka's better than both Thor and Neja.
All right.
Baka's an A-tier jungler.
He's got
the buff that he just got where when he eats minions, he gets like 2 seconds curved off his 1 and his 3, feels really good. Those abilities will always be up. Like if you go like a cooldown build, like you go like the Mannequins, Jotuns into like a Crusher or Erendite. He's actually really sick with Erendite, but I think he's actually pretty good. Ranked.
All right, you get to just get your team ahead, sort of farm.
He's just a power farmer too. He's really fast around the jungle.
Yeah, you just eat a minion, run to the camps, you get ahead, and then you're able to just gank. So I see that. Yep. All right, what about Fenrir though? We saw him a lot in support. The full damage Fenrir jungle, I have not seen too much of at all. What are your thoughts about Fenrir?
It really depends like where you pick him. If you first pick him in ranked and then there's like a Geb response, then you're gonna hate your life. I feel like that's what most junglers though. Most junglers hate going against like Geb and RDO and stuff like that. I think Fenrir's probably A as well. Yeah, I think he's overall okay. He's actually really sick with hammer late game. Right. If you don't go hammer, you fall off. If you don't have hammer on him, I'd probably put him in B, but I'll keep him A. Okay, yeah. Thoth and Hebo pretty strong in the meta right now. He's a solid counter pick. I think he's better full tank, like support,
I think
than he is in jungle right now, like full damage. You can still go hybrid jungle, but I think it's probably better to have him support for that.
Okay. All right, what about Apollo, though? You requested this one to be in here. I was not going to add Apollo, but we did see a little wave of Apollo jungle, and you think it's still viable. Talk to me through this one.
I think Apollo's actually sick. I would put him A for ranked. Anytime your chariot's up, you just get to instantly play like the opposite side of the map. Yeah. Like let's say like someone's playing solo side and like you have your chariot and it's like, oh, I'm just gonna go dive duo real quick because you just go wherever.
Say specifically, I'm pretty sure I was in a ranked game against you, and right when I jumped as on her in lane, I just looked up and you were coming over this guy. So whenever you notice that someone's escape is down,
he got like the best map pressure. I mean, it's just sick jungle. I don't know. When you get your full build, you're able to shred objectives and you can still dive and make plays.
Yeah, and having two ADCs late game never be an issue as well.
Yeah, it's sick.
All right. What about Serket, though? This is another one of those support-centric gods that we saw more of a shift towards jungle. Did you think it worked? Is she still strong or what?
I think she is better now in jungle. She got a buff recently, which makes her like more like a true assassin. Right. Kind of like nerfed her scaling a little bit, so it doesn't like make her, or her percentage damage doesn't make her like a tank as much anymore. Yep. I'd put her probably A. As well. She's got good clear. I think she's like pretty easy to use relatively. She's pretty safe too. She's got 2 escapes. So
so much mobility. Good setup. Early damage is pretty nuts with the Cobra's Kiss, and then she's also just able to set up late game, just be an ult bot if you need to. I think so as well. Yeah. Here we go with Robin. This is a character I haven't seen too much of. Well, he's pretty safe. He's got counter matchups, but what do you think just outright?
I think Ravana is a sick pick. He's a really good counter pick. I think he's definitely better than Thor and Neja. Almost all these guys are better than Thor and Neja in ranked, so I put him in A as well.
You seem to be harping on how bad these guys are specifically.
I don't know. Neja just is like a kamikaze in most of his games.
You're gonna ult in.
It really depends on the game state. If you're ahead, then you're owning. But if you're not ahead, then it sucks.
And for every jungle, that's usually the case.
But most junglers that are in A can actually play into it.
Right.
But like Neja can't. Neja from behind is like the worst guy in the game.
Gotcha.
You just get owned. You don't have any safety, and you just have to use your ult for disengage, and it's the worst feeling in the world.
All right. What about a different mage jungle? How about Hebo?
Hebo's A for sure. Hebo is just a rank pick. He scales really well because he's a mage, but he's also got a bunch of burst. I think he's a really good jungler. I don't know if he's as good as the other ones in S. S are kind of just undisputed, I'd say. But he's overall solid. He takes a little bit to ramp up, but once he gets a few items, he's pretty good.
I'm just realizing now that we didn't put Poseidon, I sort of want to put him in there.
Put him in there.
I can't find him at the moment. You see him?
Right there.
Okay, drag him over for me. Just put him, yeah.
Oh, where'd he go? Oh, he fell.
Yeah, there you go.
There we go.
I just realized, because we have seen a bit of Poseidon jungle, I sort of forgot about that one. As I said, mage jungle, and then I thought about him. So we'll save that one for last, obviously. But what about Odin? Again, this is one you harped to bring in here. What do you think about Odin jungle?
I think Odin has his counter picks too. Like if they're like an immobile mage or like an immobile mid, like he just blink cage mid and it's sick. I think he is definitely better than Thor and Asia. I put him A as well.
Okay. He's got some solid early damage.
Counter pick, I don't know.
Yeah, just if you get the characters like Poseidon, like I don't know, Scotty, for example, if you're able to just blink cage them early, it's pretty much just death, right?
Yeah. I think A tier is like junglers that can win and will like win if you're like potent.
Yeah.
But S is like characters that like you will win like majority of your games if you pick these guys.
Yeah, you don't even need to look at the matchup. I got you. All right. Kali though, this is a sort of late game hyper carry.
You can put her. I'll just put her A.
Okay.
She takes a little bit. She needs items. I don't think she's as like OP as the other S characters. All the S characters are like kind of good all game. Kali takes a little bit to rev up.
Okay.
She can fight early game if you go mannequins, but I think she's more traditionally like a late game hyper carry. That's how she's usually played.
I got you. Are you a fan of the Jotuns and the Hydras, or do you like more of a shred like hasten?
I like more of an attack speed.
Okay, yeah.
I just think it's her hit chain is just really good.
Yeah, I got you. Yeah, late game.
She's not bad with either. She's good both.
I think
she's
so
good
too,
with the like Jotuns, Hydras, Blink. Like she can like one shot off that.
Right.
Like, if you go like Hidden Blade late game with like a full damage build like that, she could be sick.
All right. And Vamana, this is another one that you told me to put in here. What are your thoughts about Vamana jungle?
Okay, in ranked, if they don't counter,
if they don't get like Ankh or anything,
if they don't get Ankh, then he's okay. But if they get Ankh, he's probably B tier.
Okay, I think it's fair to put him B as well. If people are aware of how to counter Vamana, he's not able to.
Well, actually, no. If people like fully counter him, like get 2 Ankhs and like a bunch of anti-heal, he's like not even on the list.
Okay,
he'll be like F tier.
Yeah, but because you know that.
But like in ranked, people don't really
that's what
care or pay attention as much. He can be B. They could be put in B.
All right, and then the last one we got here, Poseidon, a little bit late. Another one of those mage jungles.
Yeah.
What are you thinking?
I think A tier for him. He clears just very fast. He's quick around the jungle. Usually Poseidon jungles, they'll max their 2, and that gives you movement speed.
I was going to ask you, are you a 2 maxer?
Yes, you're a 2 maxer. You want to be fast around the map, and if you go Doom Orb and you max your 2, you're like the fastest guy on the map.
So you're like Eye of the Jungle.
So he naturally just gets leads because he farms faster than everyone else.
Are you Eye of the Jungle Doom Orb, or are you thinking Bumba Spear?
You can go Bumbas if you want, but if you want, I think Eye is just a better all-around early mid. Like if you want to fight, you can go Eye, but if you don't really care for it and you want to wait till late game, you can go Bumba's Hammer.
Okay.
Really just depends on how you're feeling.
All right, just depends on the matchup then. Well, that's pretty much all the junglers that we are seeing right now in the current meta. Again, this is for a ranked. If you see this and you think there's something wrong with it, definitely screenshot it, tweet it. Either of us will tell you why you're wrong. I have to say this.
I don't know. I just think jungle overall is just like solid, and you can, if you're a competent player, you can win with any of these gods, B or C and above. You can win with any character.
Yeah, jungle, a very influential role right now in ranked. So thank you guys so much for sticking with me, Layers. Again, thank you for taking the time to make this one. And we appreciate you guys watching our day with the Tartarus Titan. So see you guys all later.
Thank you.
Hey, wait, what did it win?
You win the respect.
You're telling me an alien wore this?
Perfect. Okay, that was a good cut.
Messaging him to mute.
The best graphics you really need, Ultra, of course, and I can probably watch a stream on the side.
Content's gonna look good.
Pretty good, pretty good.